now by targets 2 former officials and 2 serving officials of the fund. Third, the OSP has also commenced investigation into suspected corruption and corruption-related offenses in respect of an alleged embezzlement of 1.3 billion cedis from the Unified Petroleum Pricing Fund, UPPF, at the National Petroleum Authority, NPA. The investigation primarily targets the following persons: the coordinator of the UPPF, Mr. Jacob Amwa, NPA staff Frida Tando, NPA staff Wendy Ashon Newman, and the former chief executive of NPA, Mustafa Abdul Hamid. Lastly, it will be recalled that in the last quarter of 2023, the OSP and the Controller and Accountant General's Department jointly commenced corruption risk assessment and investigation into suspected corruption and corruption-related offenses in respect of government payroll administration. It is also recalled that the assessment and investigation are especially aimed at isolating and removing the names of non-existent, ineligible, and undeserving persons from government payroll, recovering wrongful payments and unearned salaries, prosecuting persons suspected to be culpable for any offenses, and the institution and implementation of internal controls in respect of payroll processing and payment of salaries. We further recall, as you do remember, that to facilitate the rollout of the investigation and assessment throughout the country, a pilot exercise was carried out in the northern region, covering educational institutions under Ghana Education Service and the Tamale Teaching Hospital, by a joint team comprising investigators, tracers, and assessors from the OSP and selected staff of the Payroll Processing Directorate of the Controller and Accountant General's Department between December 2023 and April 2024. Ladies and gentlemen of the media, I'm glad to announce to you that after thorough investigation, the OSP is now ready to commence the prosecution of persons suspected to have engaged in such conduct. So earlier today, I directed the Director of Prosecutions at the OSP to file criminal charges at the High Court in Tamale against the following 6 persons. 1, Yakubu Tahidu, a former teacher at Balogu MA Junior High School, Yendi, in the northern region. 2, Abdullahi Abubakari Sadiq, an integrated personnel payroll database coordinator of the Ghana Education Service in Yendi, northern region. 3, Sami Suk, a schools improvement support officer for the Yendi North Circuit, northern region. Mohammed Yusuf J., one-time headmaster of the Balogu MA Junior High School, Yendi, northern region. Stafford Kolete Azude Barris, an assistant chief accounts technician at the Controller and Accountant General's Department, Accra, the Greater Accra region. And Osman Isahaku, a one-time headmaster of Balogu MA Junior High School, Yendi, northern region. The main charges are corruption of a public officer and corruption by a public officer involving the manipulation and siphoning of funds designed as fictitious salaries from the government payroll. The identified persons would soon be arraigned before the High Court in Tamale. Thank you for coming. Any questions? Yes, sir. It's always Elton. Yes, sir. Sorry.
Thank you very much, sir. So you described Kenoforiata as a fugitive running away from justice. You declared him wanted, meaning you've come to the conclusion as questions to yourself regarding the investigations that you've done. You referenced the national cathedral, the SML, and others. Are you able to provide us some details as to his exact role in these matters that come to the conclusion that secondly, during him wanted, the claim here is that he is on an indefinite medical leave. And I'm wondering, I mean, is there no room to allow him access to speak rather than take this route to declare him wanted?
Let me answer. We'll carry the media along when we are ready to disclose the nature of his involvement in these investigations. When we started, it was 4, but by last week, it had become 5. So we're still opening it up. The more we go into it, the more we see things. So when we're ready to state, we either come here to address you, or we put it by way of publication on our website or directly to the media. Yes, indefinite medical review. We are not without the milk of human kindness to appreciate and reckon a person's medical condition. But when you conduct yourself in a certain way to suggest that all you are doing is just a ruse and that you have no intention of returning to the jurisdiction, that is the conclusion we have come to. You see, as I said, the first communication to us was clear, that he was away indefinitely from the jurisdiction on medical grounds. Then we pushed further. You cannot tell us that you've gone out of the jurisdiction on medical grounds on your say-so. If you're a serious law enforcement agency, would you just take a person's declaration that, oh, I am so much an invalid that I'm unable to come? You would demand, Elton, you would demand to know more, right? And that is exactly what we did. So we pushed. The response that came was unconvincing. That he may, at some future time, undergo possible surgical procedure. And I said something which is very crucial. There's intelligence available to us, which we do not want to reveal now because it may compromise the investigation. That tells us that, and that's what I stated, that it is just a ruse, that he can travel to the jurisdiction. It's not as if he comes to the jurisdiction, we'll promptly lock him up and throw the key away. It is a process we go through. This is a democratic institution with very well prescribed constitutional and statutory legal processes. So what do you fear coming in to answer questions? You can reschedule your appointments in such a way that you can come in and go. We will not say you should stay and die at all costs. What kind of persons will we be? So that is not the issue. The issue is your express intention that you've gone away definitely. What do you have to show for it? We get a purported medical letter, a very sketchy one, which tells us that you have scheduled appointments which you need to attend and that you are being reviewed, and there are some future dates you would maybe undergo some surgical procedure. For us, this is unconvincing. And as I stated in my briefing, the letter doesn't say you are so much of an invalid that you can't complain and travel to the jurisdiction. We all fall sick at some point, and we all go seek medical attention wherever. But if you are not at the point of death, if you are not bedridden, if you are not on a stretcher, this is a ruse, and we are unconvinced. As far as we are concerned, he just doesn't want to return to the jurisdiction voluntarily. And we have given him the chance so to do voluntarily, failing which we will pull him to ground. Yes, sir.
My name is Ibrahim Hassan. I work with GHOne TV and Skype. Ibrahim Hassan, GHOne TV and Skype.
I mean, your pen doesn't write. Get going.
Counsel. Yes, so chemical reactor come back regularly or be pulled back forcibly. How exactly is that going done? Can we say then that now you declared him wanted?
No, I didn't. You don't say, can we now say, I just declared him a wanted person and a fugitive from justice. So don't put ifs and buts on it.
Great.
We have declared him a fugitive from justice. He's wanted by the OSP.
What are the processes that you trigger? For instance, are you bringing in the Interpol? And if you are, how guaranteed are you that they will cooperate? We've been here before. We know people have
you know very well that I don't disclose strategy until I'm ready to do so. See, but a little bit of I don't want to use the word education. I'm a lecturer at heart, so let me put it this way. See, that Interpol red notice, this is general, not in relation to the case at hand. Interpol red notice is not an arrest warrant, and it is not an extradition request. So there are so many things that go into it. So just because you have issued an Interpol red notice doesn't mean automatically Interpol will help you to pull the person here. So this is just by way of education. Yeah, right.
My name is Hansen Ajuman. I work with CTFM Channel 1 TV. Now, considering the timelines for the engagement with Mr. Keno Koreata, it appears he left the jurisdiction before you gave him notice that you wanted to engage him. And if that is so, he had taken a decision already to go out of the country indefinitely. Doesn't that defeat your understanding that he's seeking to run away, let's say, from being interrogated?
Samuel, I'm overriding you. I'll just answer as we go. It makes the memory fresher.
And then the second question is on the read.
It's on the
read. The read, the lawyers wrote to you. They sought to inquire from you if the read was from your outfit. You say it is not from your outfit, but you've gone ahead to say that you think that a state or done to an imposter action done to paint you black. But have you in any way conferred with other investigative bodies before coming into your conclusion that it's a state? And the final one is, there have been conversations on oral, and one of the things your office have been investigating has to do with the sale of stool lands and state lands. And the conversations we've heard from members of oral has to do with the purchase of state lands by persons who are politically exposed. Now, my concern is that it may happen in a way where you may be investigating the same thing, where the oral team, through the Attorney General, is also investigating the same. So to what extent have you been involved with this whole oral thing?
All right. Let me answer. As I said, it makes the memory fresher. Say, GHOne has been up perpetually. Next one is to you. I see he's giving the microphone to you already. So, right, your first question. Your intention to leave the jurisdiction indefinitely does not stop us from requiring your presence. You are a citizen of Ghana. You were a public officer. You were a finance minister for a very long time. And if you have decided to go away indefinitely, that is your personal decision. But when a law enforcement agency wants you physically in, you have to show up. You do not have a choice about it. You get me? So your travel arrangements, your travel plans, your travel habits have nothing to do with the law enforcement agency. But at the point where the law enforcement agency informs you that we need you physically, we need to see you for you to answer certain questions, you don't direct us to your lawyers and say, oh, whatever information that you want, your lawyers can provide for you. We are not investigating your lawyers. Your lawyers can't, and your lawyers were not the finance ministers. You were the finance minister, and it is your role as finance minister and the things that came about in respect of this investigation in your duty as finance minister. That is why we want to see you. Throwing us to your lawyers doesn't answer it. So if you have formed an intention to leave the jurisdiction before we contacted you, well, breaking news, a law enforcement agency wants you. Do you have a choice about it? You don't. Why is it that if the FBI declares someone wanted, we all go agog and it suits our purposes, for instance, in the US? Or is it because we watch so many movies and we've come to accept it? But when the OSP declares someone wanted, then it becomes something that perhaps we should push against. As I said, we sitting here have done all our checks, and everything shows to us that the man just doesn't want to show up. And that was communicated in the first letter. It was clear in there that he's gone indefinitely. It was when we pushed that you cannot just tell us that. Before things started cascading, then we started seeing the real intention. But your first intention of telling us that you are away indefinitely was what you intended to stick to. The raid. I do not intend to go into detail here in respect of our intelligence as to what we do know. But the way it was carried out, the way the media reportage went, the way immediately the OSP was linked to it, the way all of a sudden it is the OSP having some vendetta against him. That is why. Did the media even know that we had asked him to come? No. So how did it just then get into the media all of a sudden that the OSP has some vendetta against Mr. Ofori-Atta, and that is why the OSP raided his house? When we did not carry out the raid. Quickly, and this is coming a day after the lawyers had informed us and given us some purported medical letter. And our checks quickly and our intelligence shows us that. I said, it's one of two things. It is staged, or it is an imposter action. To situate it, I say, baby, Nyankupon, Ebonampesi, Honabun, Tutunikobi. Staged or an imposter action, and it's not coming from us. Why are we then being blackened for it? There's something untoward going on. And for us, we believe that it is time. I will declare him a fugitive from justice, and this is now. Oral. Yes, we started our investigation of at the Lands Commission, the sale of stool lands, state lands, and vested assets a while back. It is huge because we gave ourselves a timeline of the commencement of the investigation will be from 7 January 1993 to date. So it is a huge endeavor. Indeed, if we say we're going to go as we want to go, it might even take 5-6 years to come to a full conclusion of the nature of the things and what actually has gone on. You ask whether we were involved in the oral preparation. The Attorney General himself wasn't involved, but the report has been handed over to him. So I strongly do believe that the Attorney General and the OSP will go into some of the processes and some of the cases so as we won't do an overlap of the cases that we are investigating, for sure. And the Attorney General, well, if you know the relationship well, he was my lecturer at Legon. And then we formed a firm together some time ago. And then when he became a Deputy Attorney General some time back, I departed to form my own firm with another person. So there is that rapport, and we communicate a lot. So we will confer on that. Thank you. Yes, sir.
Okay, my name is Abdullah. I write for the News Center newspaper.
The News
Center.
Right.
Newspaper. My first question is, in your first statement about the raid in the house, you were categorical that intelligence available to you indicate that it was staged. You didn't say it was suspicion. You said intelligence.
Sorry, I didn't say it was what?
You didn't say suspect.
I didn't say it, no.
You said intelligence
Yes,
available.
and in my response to him, I didn't say it was suspected. I insisted. I said it was, no, I said it was staged or at best an imposter action. So, those are my words.
Yeah, so I just want to be on the intelligence. So, I'm again.
Do you want me to reveal it to you?
No, I don't want to.
Okay.
I'm again, I used to tell the intelligence available to you shows that you know that this thing on record, this was that. Then I assume that you know those behind it, those who planned it and those who executed it. Is that the understanding that
you still want me to reveal my intelligence to you?
No, I'm not going to mention it.
Right.
I used to say intelligence available to you.
Right.
Categorically indicates that the thing was staged. That was what you said first. So I'm saying that if I'm a journalist and you tell me that, then the assumption is that it means you know those who planned it and those who executed it.
We have a fair idea.
You have information.
We have a fair idea, yes. And I situate, when he asked me, I situated it in a certain context.
No,
I said,
this person's question. The first statement.
no, calm down, calm down. Say, let's have a conversation. Yeah. Let's not talk over each other. I'm saying, because your question relates to what he asked, and that is why I'm linking it to it. I said, in the context in which I situated it, it became very clear to us. The way the OSP was linked to it, the OSP was attached to it in a very negative sense, when the media did not even know that we were after Mr. Ken Ofori-Atta. Did any one of you here know that we were after Mr. Ken Ofori-Atta? You didn't know. How did it then turn out yesterday?
No, we knew because there was a newspaper publication.
The newspaper public. Calm down. You didn't know. The newspaper public. Wait, hold on.
ask me a question, I'm answering.
Hold on. I'm saying you didn't know.
That.
Calm down. I said, let's have a conversation.
Yes.
If you talk over me, I won't answer you again. Listen, I'm saying you didn't know. What you knew was our half-yearly report, which we put in the Daily Graphic and on our website, that we were investigating Mr. Oforiatta for National Cathedral Project. That is all that you know. What you don't know is all that I've enumerated. And what you don't know is the exchange of correspondence between the lawyers of Mr. Oforiatta and us. And what you don't know is the purported medical letter that was transmitted to us by Mr. Oforiatta's lawyers. And what you don't know is our insistence and warning Mr. Oforiatta that if you don't show up on a certain date, we will come after you. You didn't know all that. So when I say you don't know, just admit that you didn't know. What you know is what we put in the paper. Proceed.
That's what my question was.
If you calm down, it will make things clearer.
I'm saying that
Right.
your first statement before this question, you are answering my question as though it's related to this man. I'm saying no.
You fail to recognize that it is related to his question, but proceed.
So I asked a question related to that. If you say intelligence available, it meant that you have an idea of who did it. Because I'm saying this because if the man says something that's happening to
Yes, I'm answering you. We have a fair idea of who did it.
That's Second, you talk about
He still has the microphone.
the first letter.
Right.
You admitted that at the time you issued that you invited him, you were not aware that he has traveled. And that it was
See, my words carefully. I never said that. I said he left the jurisdiction on or about. Listen. He left the. See, I see a penchant of you in putting words in people's mouths. But listen, he left. What I stated was that he left the jurisdiction on or about 2 January 2025. That's what I stated. I didn't say that we didn't know. But the fact that you are out of the jurisdiction doesn't prevent us from communicating with you, is it? Especially in this modern era of all gadgetry. So we knew that he was out of the jurisdiction. Okay. But we know where he lives. Okay. That there are people there. Okay. Yeah.
I just want to draw the first letter. When you sent the letter, the lawyers responded that he's out of the jurisdiction and that for the communication to them is that he's out of the jurisdiction indefinitely.
On medical grounds.
On medical grounds. My question is, if I leave the country, you are aware that I've left the country, and then later you invite me, and my lawyers write to you that, oh, I'm out of the country indefinitely on medical grounds. I don't think that first letter will be basis to say I'm trying to run away from justice. It will be the subsequent actions.
Once again, if the first letter was the reason why we just organized a briefing, we would have done it a long time ago. But we didn't just base our actions on the first letter. We waited and we pushed. We asked for more. So if you say the first letter could not have been the basis, that wasn't the basis. But as I'm saying, subsequent events then informed us, instructed us that, oh, the first intention you communicated to us in your first letter is really what you want to do. And that the things you are bringing now, rules, afterthought.
So the subsequent is what determined that
yes, the subsequent actions then took us back to the first letter for us to come to the conclusion that
all the investigation about him you talked about, they involve, I think, about 3 of them involve private sector institutions who deal with certain contracts.
But linked to public agencies.
Yes, that's all. So my question is, you yourself have just noted that with technology, it's easy to get to go wherever they are in the world. If there are other people involved in the investigation and they are here and you are interrogating them, if technology, is it possible? It's not possible that whatever information you want from Colonel Oforiatta, you can get it from him without him physically being present in Ghana. Thank you.
See, as for possibilities, we cannot determine how far they go. What we deal with is probabilities. It is very possible for me to develop wings right now and fly out of this room like a bird. But is it in the least probable. No. And that is why in the law, we don't deal with possibilities. We are dealing with probabilities. Now, when a law enforcement agency tells you that your physical appearance, a former president of the United States was wanted by a city, he had to leave wherever he was to attend to that call in that city and be charged. The OSP wants you physically for you to answer some questions. Don't know our processes by which we go through by charging a person, by arresting a person, and all that. You wouldn't know that, would you say? So when we say that your personal attendance is required, it means that we do not want to do a teleconferencing or a Zoom conferencing. So if your response to us that you are bedridden, we will seek to find whether indeed you are bedridden and you can't travel. You get me? We will not just take your word for it, and that is why I stated in the brief that we won't, on your say-so, we won't admit what you are saying, that you are so ill that you can't come to the jurisdiction. And so, show us more. We didn't just move. We were fair, and we kept asking. It was at some point yesterday that we decided that he has to be declared a fugitive from justice. And we have done so. Yes, sir. Well, he made it a debate. That's why it became like that. Mm.
And you can come with my name.
Right.
I write for the informer.
For the...
Informer.
Right.
At what time will you apply your second option to secure Mr. Korea?
Someone was saying, leave it to us. Like I told the other gentleman, we don't like disclosing strategy like that. Sometimes it compromises investigation.
And who are the lawyers for because his lawyers.
I can come. Let's leave the lawyers out. You see, they are my colleagues at the bar. They are not under investigation. They are not the people the OSP want. You get me? They are doing their job as lawyers. And, you know, in law, every lawyer will tell you, it is what your client tells you. That is what you transmit. So all that they are doing, they are transmitting the information their client gave to them. So, pardon me, let's leave the lawyers and the identity out of it. Is that another hand? Sorry?
You have a personal issue with Kedokoraka?
God forbid. I don't have any issues with anybody. I don't hold grudges. You know, it also came up when we invited Professor Frimpong Boateng here. Same thing. The story was that I was doing someone bidding, fighting someone's battle for him, people who have issues against Professor Frimpong Boateng. That's why we brought him here. Look at the litany of cases I mentioned, and there are more, which we will go into. Personal issues with anyone. I did not assume this office or swear an oath to defend the Constitution and the laws of this country to go on a personal vendetta or personal chases because I don't like you or you've crossed my path or anything. Otherwise, I'm sure there will be more than 1,000 people reporting to the OSP every day. Every day, someone crosses you. But that is not the reason why I'm the special prosecutor, and I'm never going to do that. Personal vendetta, God forbid.
Right, moving on with
Yes.
TV3.
Sorry, I didn't get any.
Moving on with TV3.
Right.
At what points did the cases you're looking at in relation to Ken Furiata expand to 4? You've mentioned that it possibly could rise to 5 because...
No. It's when we started, when we started, it was 4. But by last week, it had expanded to 5.
Was there a petition
No.
from someone?
No.
What is informing the expansion of these cases against...
Our investigation, as we investigate the address, it branches out. The arteries lead to one another, and then it took us to the GRA tax refund account. Right. So, and as I was saying, Marina, right? From there, it may branch to other places. We do not know, but we do not close it up. You get it? So far as the investigation is leading you somewhere, you look at it. So the letter that went to him, asking him to report, had 4, not 5.
If someone says you're fishing, will the person be right?
For what?
You're fishing because you say you started with 4, it's leading into others, and it could lead into a lot more people.
You see, the day of planning is always different from the day of battle. You know that. You plan that today you are going to do this, and then you get to the battlefield that your opponent has some other strategy which you have to rework yourself, especially in football. I'm saying you start one investigation, and then it leads to the other. Let me give you a good example. We started the La Bianca investigation. Where did it lead us to? Auctions. Meanwhile, that wasn't why we started that case. It was in respect of a customs advance ruling. 2 customs advance ruling just for one company, just 2 for one company. Then, as we were delving in and going into it, we realized that no, it was showing some other form of conduct in respect of the Customs Division of the Ghana Revenue Authority. And that is how we ended up at auction sales of vehicles and other goods. And we know what the outcome of that was. So for a good investigator, director of investigation here will tell you, always keep an open mind. If you keep a closed mind that this is only what you are doing, you may miss other things because things relate to each other. They are always not in a vacuum like that. Right? A payment, let's say, to one entity may be coming from a certain source. So when you trace that source, you may realize that there are so many things going on in the source where that payment came from that will lead you to other cases. Why are there so many payments going from that particular source? That is not even what you started to investigate, but then you go and see it. That's the beauty of the game. Yes. Yes, sir. Oh, sorry. You don't have the microphone and you... he has the floor. Right. Sorry? Reuters.
Are you able to tell how you started? Was it through a petition, a whistleblower, or what? Based on the status of
How we started what? Right.
somebody take you off, were you petitioned? Which of the cases kind of did you start with? And then based on the status, are you able to put a value to it out of the 4 or the 5 at the moment? Are you able to say you are going after him because of this amount of money reportedly involved?
If you would recall, one of the cases has been, say from Reuters, if you recall, one of the cases has been on a half-yearly report for a while now. Remember, the one on ECG. It's been there for a while now. We started, when did we start? 3 years ago? 2022. So we started the ECG investigation in 2022. You see, but that wasn't based on the tip-off or anything. It was just in respect of a dissolution of a contract, which then brought about some unpleasant consequences, which then took us to go look at it. So from 2022, the Ministry of Finance and the Ministry of Energy had been on our radar from 2022, and we started. So when we started from the ECG, then at some point, the other cases came in, SML. Then after that, the ambulances. Then after that, National Cathedral, right here beside us. Then last week, GRA refund, tax refund account. You get me? Yeah, so we started these investigations 3 years ago. Right. Yes, sir. Oh, the value. Sir, I cannot place a value on it for you right now.
My name is Masoud. I write for the Chronicle.
The Chronicle.
Right. You mentioned.
So you are the spear of the nation.
I want to take you to the medical reports.
All right.
You described it as a purported medical report. And you also
I didn't describe it as a report. I said purported medical letter.
purported medical letter.
It is not a report in our record. It is a letter.
Of interest
It is a generic letter to whom it may concern. Generic letter. Yes.
Of interest to me is the qualification purported.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we work around it.
Right.
And when you spoke about the raid in his house, you said your intelligence
Mm-hmm.
indicates that it was either an imposter action or
It was staged or at best an imposter action. Yeah.
So my understanding is that you did some background checks to arrive at that conclusion.
I want to find out whether you've done same checks, possibly from medical or the hospital that the purported letter is coming from, to be able to know that it was purported. Or I don't know. I want to be sure whether you've done.
But that's good journalism. You know, I keep referring to the fact that there is some bit of intelligence available to us, which we do not. Which we do not want to reveal now, for fear that it may compromise the investigation. It is a reason why we keep saying it is a purported medical letter. We never qualified it as a report. It is a medical letter stating exactly what I said in my briefing. That was all there was to it. But I was at pains to point out that that purported medical letter never stated that he was an invalid, to the point where he is unable to travel to the jurisdiction. For us, it's very crucial. And we also stated in the briefing that it wasn't demonstrated so. You get it? Yeah. We can all say that I'm not well, I can't come to work today, or it's raining at my area, so I'm unable to come to work. We can all say that. Sorry? Follow up. Sorry, he says he has a follow up. Let's follow him up and then.
Is it for fear of people thinking that you are just executing somebody, or a fishing expedition? Your colleague used that. I know that when doctors are writing such letters, there is a medical person with the signature of those things. Yes, you said you have some intelligence. I need you to confirm that you've done your checks abroad without necessarily stating the specific hospital or the specific medical person who did that. Thank you.
I get you. First on persecution. If without any precursors, I just called you, invited you here this morning without anything, we just declared him another person, then you could say that is persecution. But we've been through processes. And that is why I said earlier that do not think that we do not have the milk of human kindness. We are also persons. We can fall ill. Who amongst us has not fallen ill before? But place it in context and the exchange of correspondence and what was going on. You would come to a certain conclusion that we came. And I said, no serious law enforcement agency would accept that because of this, you are unable to show up. No serious law enforcement agency. Once again, let me go to the US. If the FBI said that, you applaud. OSP is saying it, so maybe there's persecution. We're also up to our task and we're doing it. If you tell any law enforcement agency in the world that kind of letter that came to us, no serious law enforcement agency would accept that because of that, you are so sickly and invalid that you can't show up. It will come after you. That's why we are going after him. There is a contest. And then again, what was your second?
Whether there is a specific hospital or a medical person.
Well, see, I never said we doubt the authenticity of the authorship of the letter. Once again, get my words carefully. I'm saying it's a purported medical letter. I never casted doubt on where it's coming from. I never casted doubt on the person who signed it. I never casted out on the letterhead on which it appeared. What I did say is that for us, it is a ruse intended for him never to show up willingly. Yeah. And if you say we've done our checks, yes, we've done our checks. And that bit of information I said I won't reveal to you now. We fear it may compromise the investigation. Right. So, forgive me and pardon me for that. If we think we should reveal it at some future point, we would. Okay. Yes, sir. Oh, he has a microphone.
All right. My name is Joe Labuda. I work with Omigo Media Group, Bullet TV.
Bullet TV.
Yes,
Brutal.
No, not the bad way.
Oh, I understand.
Okay. So there are concerns out there about the timing of some of these cases. And these issues have been with you when Ken Oforiatta was the finance minister. When did you realize that he was needed for this investigation? And why did you have to wait for there to be a change of government? That's the question many Ghanaians are asking out there. How do you respond to such questions?
You know, if it was just a one-off case, then maybe you may have a point. And, mind you, if Mr. Oforiatta had showed up at the OSP, you would not have known it. You get it? The reason why we are having this briefing, because he failed to show up. And for us, it is a ruse for him not to come to the jurisdiction willingly. But you see, as I said, it is not a one-off matter. As the Director of Investigations stated, we started ECG in 2022. It's an ongoing process. These cases, you hasten with patience. Otherwise, you will miss a lot. Mind you, it's a criminal investigation. Mind you, the outcome of a criminal process is that someone may lose their liberty. You have to be painstaking. And I keep telling my directors, if you bring a case to me and it's a 70-30, I won't move. If it is 50-50, don't even bring it to me. I only start listening to you when it is 90-10. That is 90, that there is the real likelihood and probability that some criminality has ensued. But from there, we then go into SML. The SML investigation, we had to pause it, waiting for KPMG. Remember, there was a presidential directive to KPMG. We paused it for several months, waiting for it, because, you know, you do not want to do overlapping and spending very limited resources when you do not have to. So when the KPMG report was birthed, then we went back to it, looking at it again. And all of a sudden, the ambulance matter came up. It wasn't until late November 2024 that Shraj issued its report on the National Cathedral project. Was it 28th November? Just a few months ago, that Shraj issued that report. Shraj referred the matter to us and said that if it was necessary, we should go to it. And we stated that, yeah, it was necessary. So from the ending of November 2024, we went into it. By January, it became obvious that we should pull him to the OSP. You get it? So it is a gradual process. So it is luckless coincidence that his government is no longer in power. If his government was still in power now, we would still have gone after him. We have a history of that. No, you asked yours, right? He hasn't had. Sorry? You haven't? Oh, why? Mr. Adakon, you don't like him? Okay, he Kentema will have the last word. Emmanuel Boxon. Oh, right.
My question has to do with the aftermath of the investigation. There has been concern that you do all these investigations, that you are really yet to secure any court conviction. The last time we were here, you had a press briefing, we had some issues with identification. So all these things that you do, what is the end game? You don't secure any conviction since the end of office. What do you say to critics out there that you start these investigations, it hasn't really ended?
Hey, we'll try and pitch as well. Good concern. I said not too long ago that these cases take time. It is like the study of geology, time and pressure, but with patience. Okay. We do two forms of investigations. One, investigation to prevent corruption. Those do not necessarily end up in prosecution. You are doing the investigation so as to plug loopholes, and a lot of the investigations we announce are in the nature of that. Look at when we started the government payroll administration investigation. That was in 23, right? Late 23. Beginning 2025, we are now ready with our first 6 suspects. You get it? Now you say we have not secured any conviction. Well, I wish we would have secured some, but it is not. It is not just an easy statement like that. You recall, there was one case. When was it? I think it was 28th. There was supposed to be a judgment. We concluded the case. It was supposed to be an inquiry, only for us to go and to be told the judge had been transferred. What were we supposed to do? We are not the judges. We cannot read the judgment. What the OSP has to do, we have done. As video evidence of the person demanding back his bribe money after a public election went all right twice for him, and all that. We are in Tamale on the Northern Development Agency case. We closed our case. There was a submission of no case to answer, which went in our favor. The accused persons have opened their defense. We're on it. There's this perpetual one in Accra, respect of the former CEO of the Public Procurement Authority. We are alive to our duties. As I'm saying, these things take time. It takes time. And patience. The results will be seen. And in terms of investigating to prevent corruption, when you hear the name of OSP on the street, doesn't it shake you a bit? It does. I lie. It does. Say the OSP is coming around. It does shake you a bit. That's investigation to prevent corruption. So it is, all I'm saying is, Ghanaians, with all humility, not all cases will end up in court. Indeed, most of the cases will not end up in court. The prevention of corruption aspect is even more crucial than getting one person to Nsawam. But those that need to be prosecuted, we will not shield anyone. We will take them to court as soon as they are ready. And you can see we are rolling cases out. And at least on one occasion, we are done, waiting for the judgment to be read since November. So we are on course, and the fight against corruption is taking shape. Kentema will anchor us, then we'll be out of here.
My name is
Malik. Yeah.
Is the ultimate goal of the OSP to get conviction of cases that is it your ultimate goal to get persons convicted? If that is not the case, then I think the office has to give an education. It means to sense that look, the office is not established to take persons to court and to get them convicted. Because that's the understanding out there. That you take cases to court and you don't get conviction. Then two, I have read a few headlines on Facebook. Did Mr. Kenoforeata at any point requested to seek medical attention out of the country from you? Did he seek any request?
From the OSP?
Yes.
No, but why would he? At the time when we hadn't requested his appearance, he wouldn't know that we wanted him to show up. So humanly, he would not have. And indeed, that would have sounded, let me use a word that's been going around in currency a bit today, that would have sounded fishy. You've not requested for the person's appearance, and he's telling you that he's going out of the jurisdiction of medical grounds. It means that he's preempting your strike, right? That would seem a bit out of the ordinary circumstances of mankind. And your first concern is what Mr. Ebo Hoxton also touched on. we are doubling down on our efforts. And sometimes we also require you to talk for us a bit. We also need the resources to move. We've been talking about it all this while. I see the criticism a lot. That's fine. It's good to Nyama people. But also raise your voice up and say that they also need the resources to move. You're talking about education. It takes some resources to move. But yes, we are on our alive to our duties. And as I explained not too long ago, what is our ultimate aim? The ultimate aim is not to see Kweku Mensah in jail or Kwabena Mpuma locked up. Our ultimate aim is that, as far as my tenure is concerned, when it ends and I leave, the conversation on corruption would have shifted, like a paradigm would have shifted, so that it will not just be business as usual. For people to know that when they engage in these acts, there's a price to pay, and a very hefty price to pay. For us here at the OSP, that message and that prevention drive is much more important than getting one person to jail. If you get one person to jail successfully, that's fine. There are a million Kweku Mensahs who are still engaged in the conduct which you have not been able to get to jail. But they are all freely engaging in such conduct, and the society is the worse for it. That is not so helpful a utilitarian model than to shift the conversation of corruption for us to stamp it down, suppress and repress it, and forge ourselves a better society. That is our ultimate aim, at least as far as I remain the special prosecutor. Thank you very much for coming. It's always a joy to see you and to brief and review and take questions from you. Have a pleasant day.